Welcome to the Revere Veterans Corner. And today we have two special guests, but one is really special. She came all the way from Alexandria, Virginia. She's a Major General retired in the United States Army, Dee McWilliams, and she came here to honor Eileen Merullo, who did the Revere Veterans World War II Memorial. So I want to thank you, Major General McWilliams, and especially you, Eileen, for all the things you did for the city of Revere.
Oh, thank you.
And now I'm going to turn the show over to you so you can speak a little about yourself, your military career, and how you got involved with all this.
Well, I spent 30 years in the Army.
Thank you for your service.
You're welcome, and thank you for yours, and thank you for
Thank
yours.
you for yours.
And when I retired, I became president of the Army Women's Association, the foundation. And it's a nonprofit that honors women's service and preserves their history. So maybe a month ago, I got a letter, a full handwritten letter. You don't get many handwritten letters anymore, so it caught my attention. And it's from Eileen, and she tells me about the project here in Revere to honor 149 women who served in World War II, and ask if the foundation would give her a grant. And fortunately, within about a week and a half, we had a board meeting, and I put it before the board expecting, maybe $500 or something. Well, they voted to give $1,000.
Thank you.
So I called Eileen, and she said, "Oh, it's hard to stand up straight." So in the time between when we had the meeting and now, I've seen friends and people I know in Washington, in Virginia, and I've said, I'm going to go to Boston, and this wonderful woman is getting money to honor these women, 149 from one town. And they said, well, I'll give some money, And I would look across the table and say, well, are you going to give some money? If you give some money, I'll match it.
Oh.
And, well, fortunately, that was the one who offered the most, but so I matched it. And I now have, in addition to the $1,000 check I gave Eileen and the mayor this morning, I've got $1,500 more, so that's a total of $2,500. And the $1,500, the check's in the mail, Eileen.
Oh, that's wonderful.
But it'll be coming probably within about a week.
Right, I would like to say one thing,
Yes.
Major General McWilliams. The mayor could not be here because he told us he had another commitment this morning when we were taking the photo shoot. And the head of the Revere Veterans Service, Nick Boer, also told us he could not be here because they had already made other commitments. But anyway, we want to thank you out there, Nick and Mayor Dan Rizzo. Thank you for coming. Now, I'd like to ask you, how was your flight coming over from Alexandria?
It was great. Got into Logan, and the luggage was there. The rental car was there. It's a great airport.
And what did you eat? What did you eat, if I may ask you?
What did I eat?
No, where did you eat? Was that Javelli's?
Javelli's last night.
Yep.
The hotel recommended it, and they had a shuttle. That was great food. Yeah.
Right.
Chicken parm. They have.
Now I want to introduce one other woman. Eileen, let me say hello to you again.
Hello, how
and
are
I
you,
want to
Morris?
thank you. I got to say, I know it's doing it over and over, but you deserve it over and over. I got to thank you for the work you did because you're almost all there to get the money that you need for the monument.
Almost there, thanks
Right.
to
Thanks
the
to
general here. Yeah,
General
definitely.
McWilliams.
Yeah.
So tell us how you got started in your project.
Well, before then, let me say, when I got the telephone call, it was about 5:15, I think, in the afternoon. And I answered, and she said, hello, this is so-and-so, so-and-so. And I thought, and I held the phone like this, and I said, yeah. I thought it was somebody fooling because of the publicity we had. So I said, I better answer her. And she said, yes, really. And she went and told me. I thought, oh, my goodness, it's real. So that's how we got involved with that.
Then she come into the senior center to me, and she says, I got the Major General coming down here. And I says, yeah, right.
Yeah.
I says, yeah. But she was real emphatic about it, and then I got to believe her on there. And let me tell you, Major General, it's really an honor for the city of Revere to have you come down here because you also have a women's memorial in Washington. which we did not get a chance to see when we went down. So if you could explain it to us, we'd love to hear what it consists of.
Well, the Women's Memorial in Arlington National Cemetery was started a lot like the memorial you want to have here in Revere. Some women were sitting around. I believe they attended a funeral of one of their friends. And they're in Arlington and said, there's no monument to the women who have served. And so they started raising money, and now at the entrance to Arlington Cemetery, there's sort of a V shape with a rotunda in the middle. As you come into Arlington, it's the first thing you really see. And it took 10 or 12 years to raise the money for that.
Wow.
But I mean, it's a large building and gets lots of use there in Washington. So, and I'm on the board for that foundation too.
Good.
But the Army Women's Foundation that's giving the money to Eileen for the monument here in Revere, that's what we do. We honor the service of women, and this was a perfect project for us.
Right, but with Eileen, I got to tell you, when she came over and asked me if I would help her, because we do a lot of things at the Revere Senior Center, and the people there, 99.9% when they're there, help the veterans. And she came over and she said she was going to do the Women's Memorial. I said to her, we do a little TV show and it's called the Revere Veterans Corner. Come on up and explain it. She did. She came on up. She explained what she was going to do. Mr. Bob Dunbar, who does the, who's head of the Revere TV, and Sergio Leone, who made the logo that you see with the monument and the flags, which was designed by him. So she came up here, she spoke out, and they decided to give her about a minute and a half or 2 minutes of her own little thing to let it out. And let me tell you, it went out on the scrolls, and the people kept donating. And Eileen, tell her about the time that you and I went up to the Vietnam Memorial at the American Legion, and a woman came over to you. Tell her that story.
We were there today. In fact, we were there at the Legion, on the Legion lawn, to see the area that the monument's going to be. And we had gone over to see the veterans, the new Vietnam War. He's writing the names down because they were going to be on TV too. And a woman came over from nowhere. Now that was a deserted time of the day,
Right.
wasn't it? And here comes a woman, and I thought, oh, somebody's coming up out of nowhere to see us. And she said, are you Eileen Merullo? And I said, yes, I am. Well, here's some money. Here's some money for the monument. I couldn't believe it. And she said, yes, I heard about you. I saw you on the streets. I saw you on TV. Here's some money. And off she went. She
And you
didn't
didn't
leave
get
her
her name or
name,
anything?
nothing.
Huh.
So I said, thank you very much. I called over to her, what is your name? And that she just kept right on going. Wasn't it great?
Yep, and I'd
Yeah.
like to tell you another story, if I may, Major General. We have a gentleman here, his name is Chip Tuttle. He wants to build a casino at Suffolk Downs. He heard about this, and by the way, if you look behind you, you could see the World War II memorial right there. That was designed, and I got to tell you, by Sergio Leone. He did the whole thing there with the flags, the Revere Women Veterans, World War II Memorial, 3 rows of names. Well, Mr. Tuttle, when he came up here and he heard what she was doing, he donated to her. I don't want to say the amount, but you can, Eileen. What did Chip give
He
you?
was very nice, very friendly. Now, here's a man that's on local TV, national TV, he's known all over the place because he's trying to get the
Casino there.
racing here to Suffolk Downs. So he really is a very important man. And he was so nice to come and offer money to us. Imagine someone in that position to come, almost as great as a position as yours. So we're so thrilled to have you come. I have to blink to make sure you're here. Yeah.
Well, it's a pleasure and really an honor to be here after I have spent a little time with you two and with the mayor, and you start thinking about Revere itself. Well, where did you get the name? From a patriot. All of the things that happened in the Revolution from Boston. I mean, the history here is great. And then here in Revere, I think, I don't remember the name of the creek, but there's a battle that was the first
Sales
one.
Creek.
Yeah,
At Chelsea Creek.
Chelsea Creek.
Right.
So the history is here. But when you think about the number of people who have fought in our country's war and fought to keep our country strong, now we add to that history 149 women from Revere who went to World War II. Volunteers, not draftees. So, and their history is rich. Each of them has their own story. Unfortunately, we don't get to tell it on the monument, but it is a place that their name will be remembered.
Right.
And that their family can go and see that name, whether it's an aunt, a grandmother, a sister, a friend, a cousin.
Thinking of that, when I get donations through the mail, people would send a little note, and this is in honor of my mother. It gives me a lump in my throat to know that she will be recognized,
Yeah.
which is good, you know.
Major General, I would like to introduce one other thing. If you have the time, because you say you're only going to be here for a day, there's a place here called Romney Marsh Cemetery. It's a very historical cemetery. A lot of people don't know about it. I think it is one of the oldest cemeteries in the United States. And it has people that are buried there from the pre-colonial war, the Revolutionary War, the Civil War, the War of 1812, the Spanish-American War, and I think they have the slaves. There were 13 soldiers that served in the Union Army buried there. So if you get a chance, it's only about 5 minutes from here. If you'd like to take a ride after we leave here, I would love to take it down and show it to you.
I'm sure that would be interesting.
Would you like to see it?
Sure.
Good, we'll do that, Eileen.
All right, let me say from way back in the beginning, when I had the idea, because I had, as I had said before, I read names at the memorial services, and then I thought there's nothing to honor the women like my sister, my cousin, and so I came up with the idea, why not take a chance? Morris always used to say, take a chance. So I took a chance and said, I'm going to go to Boa, Dick Boa, the
Revere Veterans Administrator.
and present it to him. He says, yeah, sure. That's a great idea. You do the footwork, I'll be behind you. I think it's a great idea because he's so busy with all the Memorial Day things and that.
Right.
And so as I walked across the lawn that we were on today at the Legion, there was the mayor, the new mayor. He had only been in office maybe 6 weeks, getting out of his automobile, and his chauffeur was a boy I had as a student in school. So I said, why not take a chance? I went to the mayor and I said, Mr. Mayor, I have this idea. And he said, good, I'm all for you. Whatever you need, come up to the City Hall. I'll help you all the way. That's how it got started. So from then on, I went here to Boston. I went to this city, that city. I went to undertakers. I went to hospitals to get records of people to make sure that all the names are official. Finally, I came up with 140 names. My telephone was ringing off the hook. My aunt was in there. Make sure her name is on there. Let me have some verification, and I'll put your name down. Finally, the phone stopped ringing. 149 names of women from Revere.
Wow. Eileen, you deserve an applause
Yes,
from
you
us
do.
out there because
Thank
you
you.
did all the work. I mean, the legwork, the telephone
I
work.
need a new pair of shoes. That's what
Two pairs. You wore one pair around. Oh, by the way, you forgot to mention to the Major General about the letter you got from the White House.
I got a mail from the president's wife, and I've always liked her, and now I like her even more. And she said it was a wonderful thing. She was happy, but of course in her position they cannot donate. But she told me of a place that I could go on the computer and see if I could get some donations. So I was so thrilled that she answered the letter anyway,
Yeah.
which was great. Yeah.
Well, you've really done a lot of work for this, and it will be thrilling when that monument goes up.
It would be thrilling to have you come back if you can and be our guest speaker.
Oh, well, I would love to do that. I would
Yeah.
love
Okay,
to do
Eileen.
Right,
that.
it'll
You
be-
heard that,
Yeah.
folks? You
We
heard that?
hope.
My new best friend, Eileen.
Right, my
yeah,
friend
that's
Joe.
right.
You got more than two best friends.
We
You
were,
have you too.
and Morris, my dear
You
friend.
can call me by my first name, Major.
Oh, yeah.
By the way, you got 51,000, excuse me, Revere citizens that are going to be your best friends if they're not already your best
Oh,
friends.
okay.
Okay.
Okay. Well, that'll be great.
So when Eileen, remember, when you get the stone set and we get the date set, we let the Major General know, and she'll
Right.
be, we'd love to have her.
I'm thinking of sometime around the 21st of August or
That's
the
between
6th
you
of
and her.
September.
Make sure it's
within
really
there.
hot.
It doesn't get that hot here.
Okay.
Not that hot.
Oh, good. I can get out of
Yeah.
Washington.
Right.
Yeah, by the way,
Yeah, that'd be great.
when we were in Washington, it wasn't that hot,
No,
but
it was
how was it? Well,
wonderful.
we've had a little heat wave
Oh,
here.
we had a little heat wave there too, but I think.
Well, then you should tell the politicians to stop talking.
Oh, it's all the hot air in Washington. It's always hotter there.
I know.
Not because it's farther south, it's the hot air.
How many years have you been working at that program that you're doing now?
Oh, well, this is volunteer work, the Army Women's Foundation.
Oh, God bless you.
I think about 6 years I've
6
been
years.
president.
And it's
But
voluntary. That's marvelous.
yeah, the organization's been around for many years, like 50 maybe.
Don't you
So-
have a gift shop or something involved with that?
There's the Army Women's Museum. This foundation raised the money years ago to build that at Fort Lee, Virginia, and there's a gift shop there. But it's not. We don't run it. The Army runs it
Oh,
now.
okay.
We built it, and the
turned
Army,
it over
and then
to
you
them.
turn it over to the Army,
Yeah.
and then they have their employees run the gift shop. But we still donate. 3 years ago, we built a new wing onto
Oh.
that museum, so sort of a conference room, meeting room,
Yeah, that's-
classroom, and so we still send them money every
That's
year.
good. You know,
But we do other projects like this. One of the things I want to tell you that really relates to women in World War II, we got a request a couple of years ago from the Fort Des Moines, which was one of the training centers for the WACs. They have a small museum for the WACs and also for African American soldiers. That's where the officer training was for black soldiers. And many famous names as I walked through that museum trained there. But they had asked us for a grant. And I went out to check this museum out to see if it was worthy of a grant. And all I had to do was walk inside, and yes, it was. They had some great mementos and photos and things like that. But just to keep that memory alive, there was a woman who was volunteering at the reception desk. And I asked her if she had been in the Army. And she said, no, but my mother was. I said, oh, yes, she was in World War II. I said, well, I'd like to meet your mother. Well, sometimes you have to be careful what you ask, because she goes, oh, she passed away last year. And I said,
too
no,
bad.
I'm really sorry.
Yeah.
And she goes, no, she said, the reason I'm working here is because on the day she died, she was sort of in and out of consciousness. And one time I was at her bedside and she woke up and said, honey, I want to be buried in my WAC uniform. And the woman thought, Mom's losing it, because she wasn't in the Army. So the woman goes back to sleep and wakes up a little later and grabs her daughter's hand and said, I want to be buried in my WAC uniform. It's in the guest room closet on the second shelf in the blue box.
Oh, my goodness.
She goes, yes, Mother, yes, Mother. Well, a couple hours later, she died. And all the kids were there and whatever, and they went to the mom's home. And the next day, she went to her mom's closet to pick out a nice dress to be. And then this little voice says, so she goes in the other room, and there's a blue box. And she pulls it down, and there is a perfectly laid out set Army uniforms with her little medals and all of this stuff.
Imagine that.
The kids never knew Mother was in the Army.
Oh, my goodness.
I think, and I've heard of some things like this before, women would come back from being in the Army, and it was so unusual at that time and so brave of these 149 women from Revere to do something that was really out of the ordinary. I mean, normally, not that many women even worked out of the home at that time.
Exactly, right.
General, I got to tell you this. When I was overseas at the end of the Second World War, I heard stories about the woman because they flew the planes over to England for the American pilots to pick them up there to put the bombers and
Yes.
stuff. That never got credit. I never
Never.
even knew that the woman flew planes.
Yeah,
Right.
they ferried the plane from the U.S.
That's right.
to England. There were women pilots, and they also taught the men how to fly
Right.
here at home.
And
That I did not know.
They also carried a target
Yes,
at their plane, and the men shot at them.
yes.
Can you imagine that?
They would fly a plane with another plane in
Oh,
tow
okay.
behind them, and they wouldn't shoot at the one they
No,
were
no,
flying,
no,
but they would shoot at the one behind them.
Oh,
Yeah.
I see.
I mean, yeah, the women
Definitely.
were in danger. I mean, especially some of the nurses who were there were in combat areas.
Right, but you know, I gotta say, I gotta just deviate one thing. There's a place here called the Slaughterhouse. There was a gentleman there, he passed away many years ago. His name was Mr. Malta, M-A-L-T-A, I believe. He was one of the people in World War II that put the nooses around the Nazis that were being hung at Nuremberg. And he lived right here in Revere at the Slaughterhouse. We got so many heroes in the city of Revere, like Eileen,
Yeah.
like Nick Brewer, who does the veterans, our mayor, who served in the Navy for 6 years, never
Well,
brags about
Eileen
it.
worked at Walter Reed
Yeah,
Hospital in the amputee
People-
section and
right.
had to deal with those awful stories of people coming back and young boys who had lost limbs. I mean, that's
Can I
stuff.
ask you-
I asked her this morning. I said, "Well, did you get to go to downtown D.C.?" And she goes, "No, we were working too hard, and they wouldn't let us off
The bus.
off of the compound,
Right,
the fort."
exactly.
Yeah.
And speaking of names, we have a Little League park named after one of our heroes. We have a Cronin ice skating rink named after one of our heroes. Another baseball park named after one of our heroes. So we honor the men that have done their service for Revere. There's no doubt about
Right, it's about time. Now we're honoring, she's honoring the woman.
Yes.
We're honoring the Vietnam veterans who never got honored before
No,
because
no.
they're considered by some people as criminals,
it. Right,
which is a
exactly.
disgrace.
Yeah.
Right? So we're honoring all our veterans from, well, there aren't any more World War I's,
No, I hope
but there is one, I think, an old World War II veteran. I think he's 108. And by the way, on the honor flight with Eileen, the oldest one we had was Sal Santoro, 99 years old, going on 100.
And guess who the youngest one was?
You.
Morris.
Right.
Morris was the youngest. And there were only 3 women, though.
But there were 3 women.
Only 3.
Did you
3
know
of
the
us.
other ones?
No, I
No,
didn't
they
know
were-
the other
so you
women.
got to meet them.
Yeah, I met them,
Yeah.
but I didn't know them. No.
Yeah.
3 women.
By the way, we only have a few minutes left, Major General, and I would like you to just wrap it up by giving us a little about the future of your organization, what you would like to see forward.
Well, first I want to say what a treat it's been for me to come to Revere, to meet the 2 of you, to meet the mayor, to see what you're doing. And I saw a list today of all the numerous contributions from $5 to $11 to $20 to whatever, a couple of $100. But it all adds up. And the thing that it tells me is how supportive this area is of veterans. And I think it's just wonderful that you have such a long list of donors, and some of it is because of the generosity of your show and this station and the newspapers that you get the word out on this. So what a community. Maybe
Not only that, but I would like to thank 2 people. Like I mentioned to you, Mayor Rizzo, when he has a function, would always let me collect money for the veterans. Another one who wasn't there today was the Speaker of the House, Bob DeLeo, who's second in command, I guess, in the Commonwealth. Every time he has a function, he lets me go around and collect money for the operation troops that we send packages, not only to the men overseas, but as well to the women. And we had a gentleman here, Stephen Leon, who came to our senior center to thank us because he got packages from us.
Yeah.
Not from Danvers, not from Beverly, not from Chelsea, but from Revere as a Revere
How
citizen.
nice.
And he was so happy.
And
Yeah.
don't forget Representative Reinstein.
Yep, go right ahead.
from Revere, that's in the state senate.
And Andrew and Petroselli, you don't even have to ask him, our state senator Andrew Petroselli. Anytime she says she's doing a function, there's a check from him. We don't even ask these people.
So we're looking forward to either the end of August or the beginning of September to meet you again.
Okay.
We're inviting you to be one of the speakers when we erect the monument on the lawn.
And now,
Great.
since we only have a couple of minutes, I want to say, Major General McWilliams, it's an honor and a privilege to
Thank
have you
you
come
very
down
much.
here.
I
And God
enjoyed it.
bless you. And
Great
we're going
to
to see
meet
you
you.
again when the monument comes
I'll
up.
be back.
That's a promise?
That's a promise.
Okay, folks, you heard that.
Okay.
And of course, my beautiful Eileen here, thank you.
What did you say?
My beautiful Eileen. I'll say it 10 times if I have
And
to.
now it's public.
Now it's public up here. And by the way, folks, thank you for your time. And to the citizens of Revere, you see what the money you donate can do for you when you have a Major General coming all the way from Alexandria, Virginia to thank us and to thank Eileen.
All right.
And thank you all for listening. God bless our troops. God bless the citizens of Revere. And especially, God bless the United States of America. And one more, God bless you, Major General
Thank you.
McWilliams.
Thank you.
Thank you all.